Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show here on STV. The main talking points on tonight's programme. Derek McInnes, the Aberdeen boss, says he'll fight to hold on to Johnny Hayes after interest from Cardiff City. Could Celtic wrap up the title in the next Old Firm game in March? We'll discuss that. As well as look at some of the latest news. The SPFL has revised its rulebook in a bid to make the clubs more responsible for the behaviour of their fans. Just a few of the talking points in the company of Gordon Smith, and I'm delighted to say our bookroom guest is Queen's Park boss Gus MacPherson. So, good time to chat about the Queens. Everything going well. Always like to get a manager on when he's in a good mood. And we will talk about not only Queen's Park in that division, but some of the news today. Gordon, Derek McInnes. Now, there was a report and a suggestion that Cardiff had bid £500,000. Derek McInnes has blown that out of the water, but he does reveal that they are interested in Johnny Hayes.
I would imagine there'll be a bit of interest in him because I think he's a player I would pick out all the time as Aberdeen's key player. I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, they've got some other creative players in that midfield area, but Johnny Hayes, when he's on form, his pace, power, crossing ability, passing, shooting, everything that you'd want in a player. And you know, if he was moving between two English clubs, it wouldn't be a £500,000 fee. It's only because the market's different in Scotland that they would consider offering such a low amount. But I think that it's good if Aberdeen can hold on to him. Yeah,
it's probably if he is considering it as his last half decent move, Gus, then all well and good. Aberdeen could hold out for a wee bit more money. I would go as far as to say I think he's Aberdeen's best player, most consistent, most creative.
Well, for the type of player he is, you normally see the flair players, the wingers. The criticism is that lack of consistency, but Johnny Hayes has brought a lot to the table for Aberdeen, not just goals, but his contribution, and his wing play, his creativity, and his supply to Adam Rooney and the other strikers. His delivery from the wider areas is as good as there is at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't see that happening. I think that'd be a fatal blow, Gordon, to their ambitions to finish at least second in the Premiership if they let him go.
It would be. I mean, the money's always handy, Peter, as you know. The Scottish clubs can rely on getting some money in at times for a player, but when you're looking at a key player like that being sold, when you're fighting for that second spot, could be a European place. Now, that European place alone could bring in a level above that when if they played in the Europa League sort of thing. So that from that point of view, and the fans, the anger you get from the supporters as well when you sell one of your best players. So I think the right thing for Aberdeen's point of view would be to hold on to him.
Yep, okay. Let's switch our attention to, I don't know the journalist's name, but I know there's a journalist somewhere sitting in the Sun offices and has been asked to work out from his editor if Celtic could wrap the title up in March. So fair play to him. If he's got a bit of spare time, he's looked at the permutations of the live games for the satellite broadcasters, and the 12th of March could be a day where Celtic could wrap up the title. Now, I'm going to look at this because there's no way in the world I could actually remember this, Gus, but if Celtic win all their games between now and March, a third place Aberdeen, who have played a game less than Rangers, obviously, they have to lose at least 3 games, including the game against Celtic, and draw one more, while Rangers have to slip to defeat twice before the game at Celtic Park becomes a league-winning clash. And no matter what way and how many times the police go about their business to try and stop a title-winning day between the Old Firm, there's a slight chance it could happen.
There is a possibility, because I think we can see the dominance that Celtic have at the moment, that we wouldn't be surprised if they go through the whole season undefeated, because of the quality that they've got. It looks as if they're going to strengthen again in January. Rangers obviously going to strengthen their squad as well, but it's a different market that they're working in as well. So, it was the first question I said to you when you told us before we came on, who has actually sat and done that? But as you say, somebody's looked at it, the permutations have came up, but I wonder if anybody from the SPFL had actually looked at that or considered anything like that was even possible, because when it's explained like that, you think, well, there is every chance it could come down to that.
Well, let's look at a serious issue on this. I mean, full marks to the journalists who sat down there and worked out the permutations on it, Gordon. But the serious issue here is we live in a country where we can't even have a title decided between two of our biggest teams.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, it'll be a bit of a down key title decider this time, because it's not as if the two of them are fighting for the title.
No.
There's only one team. The title decider has already happened. If Celtic win their game in hand, they go 21 points clear. I think there's any chance they're ever going to be caught? No. So the title's over. So there could be a situation here where, just in terms of how the results work out, there'll be a big day. It'll be at Celtic Park. Rangers will be involved. But they've been involved in title deciders before, but sometimes they've been more meaningful than this one. I played in one of them a long time ago.
Of course you did, yeah.
When Celtic won the title at Parkhead. But as I say, I think that it's easy to sort of look at this and say, well, what's the permutations that could happen? But at the end of the day, it's not as if, as I say, there's a title clash going on here. It's one team's won the title already. Yeah,
and strangely enough, you put a right dampener on it now. Thanks for that, Gordon. But I mean, the thing about it is, Gordon has played in one, Gus. I've actually, it's probably the only time I've ever scared's probably not the right word. Just looked on in bewilderment at the conduct of the fans in 1999 when Neil McCann scored. It was 3-0 at Celtic Park. I think a lot of Celtic players lost the plot, and it became a volatile game with Hugh Dallas as the referee. And that's where basically the cup final between Hibs and Rangers last year, a lot of these games that have a bit of meaning, can be flashpoints.
That's when the tension kicks in, and the police remind the players on the park of the responsibility that they've got, that their actions can lead or overspill onto the terracins, and that's what happened, at Parkhead in '99. But as Gordon says, that tension as such wouldn't be there, but it would still be a massive, massive occasion if that was to be the scenario, that happened. But it just shows you that when these key moments come around and occasions like that, everybody's on their toes, more symbolic off the pitch as well in the west of Scotland because of that scenario. It's well documented, but it's always the actions on the part that we in the football world, try to make sure stay on board, and everybody's low key with that.
Yeah, and it brings us nicely to the SPFL revising the rule book. It's something that they want to get into every club, all 42 clubs, to take on responsibility for the actions of their fans. They want the changes to be implemented immediately, Gordon Smith, to try and crack down on, misconduct.
Yeah, well, I think so. I think that that this is one of the aspects that we don't. I think what the clubs are trying to do is to try and keep the authorities really a little bit back from it all and deal with it themselves. And I think that's why they want to take this on board. Each club takes responsibility for the conduct of the fans. Most of them are doing a very good job in that respect. There are obviously some people that are always hard to deal with, some factions within fan groups that can cause trouble. But in the end up, the clubs will try and do something. And I think what might help then is if the clubs are responsible for the fans' behaviour, it might help then be self-policing to a degree too with other fans, you know what I mean? Because then they'll be saying, our club are going to be hit with sanctions if you misbehave. So they might then realise then they're only doing their own club harm should they step out of line.
Yeah, I mean, does it go far enough? I mean, I know that the clubs were against taking on strict liability for the conduct of their fans, where basically the club would get the fine for it, which I think is harsh, Gus.
It's harsh, but it's the self-governance that Gordon talks about that they want. I think probably SFA and the SPFL want them to take control of, and it's a small minority, probably at every club, that are probably tarnishing the name of their own club again, and I think if it opens up a better dialogue between supporters and the clubs, and they can then make them understand that their actions are hurting their own club, it may help everybody.
Yep, okay. Thanks for the chat there in the first part of the programme. Coming up in the next part, we're going to have a discussion with Gus about his ambitions at Queen's Park. Can they make the playoffs? Can they go up a division that was so close last season? We'll get his thoughts on that because they're on a good run at the moment, Queen's Park, and we'll get his thoughts on that. We will also discuss Matt Phillips, Robert Snodgrass, couple of Scotland internationalists, one of them possibly getting a move in January, the other one hoping that Gordon Strachan will keep him in mind for the internationals coming up, Slovenia and the game against England. That's all coming up in the next part of the programme. Join us on Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. Gordon Smith and Gus MacPherson are with me. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show here on STV. Gordon Smith is an able deputy, and I have to say, Gordon, letting you into a trade secret here, Ruffy keeps posting videos of himself playing tennis and enjoying himself in Barbados. I'm now seriously thinking about defriending him on Facebook. It's getting to the serious point.
He's got the same lifestyle over here, it's just the only difference is it's probably a bit sunnier over there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about to hit -10 here. Yeah. Anyway, Gordon's here, and Gus MacPherson of Queen's Park is here with us as well. The reason I mentioned yourself there, Gus, and not mention the fact that you're the manager, is you must feel ashamed of yourself. I just read this morning, I looked at it this morning, I thought of you right away. Kazuyoshi Miura has signed for Yokohama FC a new contract. He's 50 on February 26th. Now seriously, you could still be playing. You could have followed.
No, quite clearly, Peter. No, I couldn't still be playing. It's an effort even to play the five-a-sides, training and that. No, that's incredible.
That's magnificent, isn't it?
It's magnificent. It really is. 50. You know,
I've never heard that before.
No, I've never heard of that. Andy Millen, I think, was Queen's Park. I think he was 44. Yeah. Andy will probably correct us now, 44, 45. So it's no, that's incredible. 50.
I think Andy was Andy not 42 when he played a Premier League game?
I think he was.
I think he was.
Yeah, I think he's the oldest player ever to play in the Premier League. I think I'm looking back and I can remember guys like John Burridge who played for Hibs.
Yeah.
But I think Andy was the oldest guy to make an appearance.
He let himself down. He could have went to his 50.
Yeah, absolutely. If it's any consolation, he still plays now. He's still better than me. Anyway, let's talk about Queen's Park because it's a good time to talk about you guys. You're doing really well.
We're in a really good run at the moment. We were a bit slow to start this season. I think we lost 6 out of the first 10, but currently we've only lost 1 out of 10. So
yeah, I was looking at the forum. I mean, September, October, I think it was something like 2 wins and 9. It was, a really tough period for you. But what's changed?
Not a great deal. We actually, early part of the season, we didn't think we were playing badly. We were just being punished for individual mistakes. Games were very, very tight. It's probably we've just got on the other side of that white line now that we've turned the defeats, or the narrow defeats, into narrow victories. It's a very, very competitive division. There's not a lot between the teams. I mean, Livingston are, I think, they're 12 points clear of ourselves. They're full time. I would assume have the biggest budget in the league, so they are the strongest club at that point there. But everybody else on their day, it's a very, very tight game. There's very little between the teams. Yeah,
well, the good news is we had Darren Young on last night, and he says, I go to Queen's Park games longing for them to lose so that we can leapfrog them, he says. But I mean, he said to me, they've had 5 penalties in the last 5 or 6 games, which I suppose you're going to take the Man United line here. You've got to be in the box to get a penalty.
The more often you're in the box, the better opportunity. That sounds like the referee's excuses, but no, especially at home at Hampden, we've been attack minded, and trying to get the ball down and play and use the pace that we've got in the team as well. But to say, the good run, we've changed the system slightly and been a little bit more attack minded. When the players, because there's such a turnaround of players at Queen's Park, it takes you a little while to get to to see where the strengths and the weaknesses are of the individuals. You then put them together with the players that you've already worked with, you know, and it takes that little bit of time, and also the players to adjust to that, you know, level of football as well. But they've dealt with it quite comfortably at the moment, so long may that continue.
See, that's a point you made, Gus. Not just because you're here today, we've spoken about it a lot. We give you a lot of credit for the fact is that Queen's Park, it is a tough job because you do lose a lot of players, don't you? Because the players they're not, you know, they're free agents to walk away, and you have to bring through a lot of young players all the time.
Yeah, it's a difficult job, you know. It's a job where you've got to convince players that with the facilities, they can see, they're visible, you know, they know that. But it's given them an opportunity to go and showcase themselves. The young players certainly get an opportunity earlier in their careers. That sometimes can become a problem because they expect, you know, just to play all the time. We've got 2 17-year-olds in the squad at the moment. We had young Anthony Ralston from Celtic playing last season, who was only 16. So it is a good club to be at, to develop, to learn your career if that's where they so choose to.
Do you sell it to players on the basis of a short window for them?
We say that to them as well. But there's other aspects that players want to play at Queen's Park for. There's a couple of boys that are at university, you know, and are staying in the education system and want to continue playing football at a decent level. We've got players that have chosen to step into the career side of it, but also continue to play football, had the options to stay within other league clubs and receive, you know, other offers, but they chose to stay at Queen's Park, really because of the facilities and the structure of the club, and enjoy their football. So it's a good balance for a lot of players and how they see their careers going.
Yeah. What about club ambitions and personal ambitions? Would it take something special to prize you away from that club? Because a lot of people talk about what you've achieved there. Everybody knows your track record at St Mirren. It stands up with the best of them, but would it take something special for what the setup you've got there at Queen's Park?
There's been offers, you know, but there's it has to be the right club, the right time. For different reasons, it's not materialised. But the most important thing is that I'm enjoying myself at Queen's Park, and I think if we're enjoying ourselves, we hopefully the players do as well, and it's all for the right reasons as well. But it's a good working environment, not just for me as the head coach, but for other coaches as well within the youth system as well. So it's not a desire to come out of Queen's Park just for the sake of it. It's somewhere I enjoy. I think the demands that we've put on the players, they've responded to that as well for different reasons, as I touched on. Some want to go and play at a higher level, some want to challenge themselves, you know, from coming from junior football, from amateur football, that they can compete at this level of football and pit their wits against professional players.
And I know, and a lot of people might not know this, but obviously you've been to more than a few hundred LARS courses, which teaches you how to avoid answering a question which really requires a bit of guts, you know, because it's what I call the sidestep, which they teach you at LARS. I know you've had it.
You come down and teach as well, Peter.
Absolutely.
You're on that course.
I know. But I'm looking, I'm saying, can you make the playoffs? Can you get up?
It would be a phenomenal achievement if we were able to do that. I think getting into the playoffs in League 2 is an achievement. To get promotion out of, you know, the playoffs last season was terrific. But now what we said coming into League 1 was, can we be competitive? We've been that. You know, the players have risen to that challenge as well. We're in a fantastic position. As I said, it's very competitive. But I think when you're in this position, you're saying to the players, give it a go. You know, don't have any regrets for the want of not giving it your best shot. And as I said, it would be a phenomenal achievement if we could get to the playoffs.
Yeah, okay, we wish you well in that. Just a couple of points to finish. John Terrell, we expect him to be unveiled as a Rangers player in a 6-month deal with the jersey, the scarf. And again, from Arsenal, good pedigree. I think Mark Warburton will be hoping, like Emerson Hyndman, he can make a valuable contribution in this 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, he's never played for Arsenal as such, but they've had him there since he was a kid. He's about 6 foot tall. 21 years of age, seems like a decent player. He's played Brentford, Birmingham, and then he was over Granada there. He's Spanish background, and that's where he's from. So I think in a few games of Granada. So the Rangers will be looking to really think that he can maybe have an impact in that midfield.
Yeah, Gus, just as an outsider, are you surprised that Rangers are willing to let the likes of Michael O'Halloran go out on loan?
Yeah, you're surprised because they paid the transfer fee for them, and in this day and age with Rangers, that's priceless for them to sacrifice that kind of money. But the player is one aspect that you will look. It's come back to Johnny Hayes as well. The player's got to be taken into consideration. O'Halloran will just want to play football. He'll be ever so frustrated with the lack of game time that he's had. So I'm assuming that he's been chatting the door with the manager and saying that he just wants to play, and if they're going to bring in some fresh faces, limited game time, they're going to have to try and recoup some of his wages.
Okay, just to finish, we'll say congratulations to Conrad Logan. Remember him? Playing for Rochdale now, but he's won the Professional Sport Achievement Award in Donegal for playing his part, Gordon Smith, in that historic win for Hibernian. Not bad, come in for a couple of games, get an award and get a medal. That's my type of deal.
He's a big lad, we won't forget him actually. He was one of the biggest goalkeepers I think we've seen in this country.
Okay, Gordon, let's not wait. Thanks to Gordon, thanks to Gus. Good night.